out.
This Monday will mark President Trump's 500th day in office.
Everywhere you look, there's Trump progress. He's there for the forgotten man and the forgotten woman, not the cranks on cable TV.
The White House is reportedly in the early stages of planning a summit between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. It would be quite a historic double feature.
It is time for Senate Democrats to stop resisting. They're resisting the will of the American voter.
All the people who voted for Donald Trump were.
Yes. We have to call people out whenever they want to use that racist word. Yeah. What makes it? Tell me what, because somebody is a billionaire or is rich, they're racist. That don't make a person racist.
That's right.
That's the only way I know. Don't stop till everything's gone. Straight ahead and never turn around. Don't back up, don't back down. A full throttle, wide open.
I love this shot. When it comes into our living room like this.
Come on in. Come on in.
Come join the fun.
Come on in. You're waking up bright and early. Bright and early. Get a little coffee. I don't have any coffee. Look at this. This
You have
mug.
Diet Coke.
Whoop. So I forgot my coffee this morning. No, really. And I do have Diet Coke though, which is good backup.
Let's be real though. You really don't have coffee. He has like a cup of cream and then he pours a little dash of coffee.
Oh,
on
come on.
top.
Little Bailey's in there too
Disgusting.
sometimes.
Little Baileys.
No,
That'll get the show going.
Never.
Never, ever, ever do that. It's great to be here.
Yeah. What a great
Welcome
Sunday morning.
into it is Sunday morning. It's June 3rd. It's the summer. The NBA Finals are on again tonight. Game 2. Lots of good stuff
just a
going
good
on.
time to
Because
get
I'm a
alive.
Republican, which I've acknowledged. Of course, I have to like pro sports. So I like pro sports.
Is it Chris Matthews said that?
That's what Chris Matthews told me. So I'm excited about the NBA Finals.
So you do listen to Chris Matthews?
Not
admitted
really.
it.
I don't. No.
All right. Well, there is a lot
Some
of
news,
news
yes.
to get to. A lot of news that broke yesterday afternoon.
Yes.
If
Yep.
you were reading the president's Twitter and reading the New York Times, which I know Pete does every single day.
Well, one, you can pick which one
The
I'm
president was
reading.
trying to preempt the story by basically saying there was a leak, and there was a leak of his lawyer's letter to the special counsel back in January that was 20 pages long.
So clearly there's been back and forth between the White House and the special counsel. Is the president going to testify? Is it under oath? Will he be subpoenaed? All of the questions about what will Bob Mueller get to or not get to ask President Trump or not. Now, so this letter was an argument the Trump team made to the Mueller folks saying, you know what, we don't think he has to. Listen to we're going to read part of the letter that came from two of President Trump's lawyers, Jay Sekulow and
John Dowd.
John Dowd. This is what it
Who's
said.
no longer with the team.
Could neither constitutionally nor legally constitute obstruction because that would amount to him obstructing
And
himself.
I think that was a reference to firing James Comey.
You remember, so this was
Exactly.
a letter written back in January. This was a letter written from the lawyers to the Mueller team. And so this leaked out yesterday
published.
through
Who
the
leaked
New
it,
York
Abby?
Times.
Well, that's the big
president tweeted out that this was being leaked out right before it was published.
Who leaked it, Abby?
Well, that's the big question, because you always think whoever leaked it, it must be benefiting them in some way. So Pete and I were talking this morning, and I was making the point that you could argue that both sides feel like they benefit in some way, because the Mueller team could argue, well, the president's showing that he is above the law by writing this letter. The president could argue that he has the authority to shut this whole thing down. And so obviously he's not obstructing. That's what the president of the White House would be
Sure,
saying.
if I was obstructing, I would shut the
Right.
Mueller team down,
Right.
which I have the right to do.
Well, and Alan Dershowitz has made this case for a long time here on Fox, his op-eds in the Hill newspaper, basically saying that the president has large powers, large executive power to fire anyone that is underneath him in the federal government. So in the case of James Comey, he fully had the power constitutionally, legally, to fire him whenever he wanted. And that the idea that that would amount to obstruction of justice, it would never really hold up in a court of law. Sure. That's been what Dershowitz and others have said. I think the broader question now is in terms of whether or not he will be subpoenaed, the president, to testify one-on-one, answer questions one-on-one with Robert Mueller. This 20-page letter seems to go a lot further and say it's not just about the firing of James Comey, but in the General Flynn case and other matters as well, that the president's executive power is so unfettered, it suggests that he's above the law when it comes to obstruction of
Right.
justice.
So this is what the president tweeted right before this was released in the New York Times. He says there was no collusion with Russia except by the Democrats. When will this very expensive witch hunt hoax ever end? So bad for our country is the special counsel Justice Department leaking my lawyer's letters to the fake news media. Should be looking at Dems corruption instead.
You know, there are moments like this where you kind of step back and you say, okay, look at what the president has done versus what has been done to the president. Because so what has he done that everyone's saying he's above the law? Okay, so he fired his FBI director, James Comey, which he has the prerogative to do, and he said a lot of bad things about Bob Mueller. Like, that's pretty much like, if you're looking at what he's done, he's above the law. What has been done to him endless lies, endless leaks, and now spies, we learn, unrelenting resistance, whether it's the never-Trumpers, the Democrats, the fake news media, the deep state. It never ends. The Russian collusion hoax has been a massive distraction for this country since he came into the
So if it's all a
presidency.
hoax, why can't the president sit down, answer some questions, and we all move on?
Because this is the fine moment at the end. It's a very fair question. He's been open and transparent. They've let Mueller do his job.
I think he wants to sit down.
Why do you want to go to the very end, though, and walk into a perjury trap or something? You slip up on one thing and now you're in trouble. That's what they've gotten most people for. Even if you're not guilty, you can look guilty or be made guilty at the last minute. You've been clear the whole way. This last 5 yards is going to be really important.
That's what his lawyers are definitely telling him. Because when you listen to Giuliani, it sounds like the president keeps saying, I want to talk to Mueller.
Right.
I want to speak out. I've got nothing to hide.
Made it clear that he's holding him
And
back.
he said, we don't want him to speak out. But to your point, Pete, we now are here, $17 million, right, spent
That's right.
on this investigation. You've had the top investigators, the top
13 angry
reporters
Democrats
around the world looking over this in over a year now.
Sure.
And we still don't have any real evidence directing President Trump to collusion. That's where we are.
If we knew of a crime of this president, of course we would know about it at this time. If we knew of collusion, we'd know about it by now. And collusion isn't even a crime. If we knew about any of that, we'd know it. It would have been leaked to the New York Times the minute they had it. They haven't had it. It hasn't been there. What are we doing?
Look,
and it's been a distraction. We would acknowledge.
It's clear that what the White House wants to do is talk about the good things the president's been doing. The economy has been a highlight. You think about the last week, from foreign policy with North Korea onto those jobs numbers on Friday. Kellyanne Conway last night on Fox, making it clear that's what they want to focus on.
Any one major achievement taken by itself would be enough in the first 500 days. But when you think of all of them put together, ISIS is decimated. We are being respected on the world stage. This president's leadership has brought North Korea literally to the White House, literally to the negotiating table. The jobs numbers, you have the lowest unemployment rate in 18 years. 1/8 of our U.S. Circuit Court now it includes a Trump judge. Everywhere you look, there's Trump progress, the regulatory reduction, small business confidence, consumer confidence. It's all around us. And those who deny it are just spitting into the wind.
Something else she said, I think she did an interview with the Daily Caller, and she said, you know what name rarely comes up in the White House with us as President Barack Obama? Because she was, for us, it's not about getting rid of everything he did. It's about putting forward the policies that we feel are best for this country. Yeah. And here we are, day 500 of the administration. Is it tomorrow? Right? And so here's a list. She mentioned some of them, but also the economy. We're at 3.8% unemployment. That is a great place to be. Historic tax cuts, fighting against ISIS. Pete, you talk about it all the time. The release of the prisoners, the summit, the upcoming summit on June 12th with Kim Jong-un, leaving the Iran deal, something that the president campaigned on and actually did, moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. And then, of course, early on in his presidency, the appointment of the Supreme Court Justice.
And there's prospects of one or two more Supreme Court justices. So if you're a conservative and that balance of the court is at issue, that really matters. I mean, that's a good list, but it doesn't even include what they've done at the VA with accountability and choice, a bill that'll be signed on Wednesday of this week at the White House, leaving the Paris Climate Accord, all these trade negotiations, which are ongoing. If you believed in this president and voted for him, he is doing just that. And it's a great point. It's not just the undoing. It's not the negative against Barack Obama. It's the proactive agenda of a president who laid it out, and he's doing it.
There's still a lot to be done, though. You think about immigration. We've got a lot of problems and challenges when it comes to immigration.
Well, his base wants the wall, and
he wants that wall on that bullet. The wall, I think, would be his favorite one if you could get it on that list. But that's become the fulcrum. That's become the center point of the resistance. You can't give the president the wall. If you do, you can't win a Democratic primary. I'll tell you that.
All right, and the midterms are coming right up. What do you guys think? What more still needs to be done with this administration? What more do you think needs to be done in this country to get to a good place? Friends at foxnews.com.
Yeah, we talked about infrastructure. That never came up either.
And I know that's a big one. All right, a lot going on this morning. I want to bring you some other headlines we are following. 2 hikers fall to their deaths from a popular landmark in Yosemite National Park. The men plummeting from the El Capitan, a 3,000-foot vertical rock formation. It's still unclear how high up the climbers were when they fell. This is the second climbing death at that park in less than 2 weeks. An off-deputy FBI agent accidentally shoots someone while dancing at a nightclub. Take a look at this. You can see the handgun flying out of the agent's holster while doing a back handspring. When he goes To pick it up, it fires. Another person was shot in the leg and taken to a Denver hospital. They luckily are expected to be okay. The agent was turned over to the FBI. Also new overnight, China now warning it will back out of any new trade agreement if the U.S. raises tariffs. President Trump has threatened to increase tariffs on up to $150 billion of Chinese imports. China's stance coming as President Trump's team spent the weekend in China for high-level trade talks. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross led those negotiations. Also right now, 3 astronauts are on their way back to Earth. The crew, including American Scott Tingle, leaving the International Space Station overnight. Their mission ending after 168 days in space. In less than 3 hours, they are expected to land in Kazakhstan. A new trio of astronauts will take their place, launching the ISS on Wednesday. Very cool.
Kazakhstan, not where I expected they would land. Just being honest. I mean, you were reading the thing, and I thought maybe in the ocean or something. No, Kazakhstan. Well, I guess they don't land in the ocean anymore, right? Because it's a shuttle plane.
I think we need Clayton Moore for that.
We do.
He would answer all these questions.
Is that where Borat was from?
Yes.
Kazakhstan?
Yeah, all right.
Is that where he was really from?
It's a whole other story. That's fiction.
Perfect spot.
All right, coming up, Google labeling a GOP state senator a bigot. A remarkable story with this picture appearing online when you search her name. Now that state senator is fighting back. She will join us live next.
Plus, the anti-Trump media has Melania on their mind, pushing conspiracy theories about where she's been after she had surgery. Why are they so intent on tearing her down? Tomi Lahren, live ahead.
My babies fly like a jet stream, high above the whole scene, loves me like I'm brand new. So call it what you want, yeah, call it what you want to. I want to wear his initial on a chain round my neck, chain round my neck.
The ADT Yards.
Welcome back. Well, the anti-Trump media still pushing those conspiracy theories about Melania Trump's absence in public. The New York Daily News leading with the Melania Watch, seeing a first lady is believing we have a first lady.
So why is the so-called mainstream media so intent on tearing her down? Here to weigh in, Fox News contributor Tomi Lahren. Tomi, they don't stop. They're, as we've seen, almost obsessed with where is she, what is she doing? What do you make of their response?
Well, again, the only standard that the left and the leftist mainstream media operate on is a double standard. They claim to be pro-immigrant, pro-woman, unless we're talking about Melania Trump or any of the Trump family, that is. But as you mentioned, it's not just if they are obsessed, they are obsessed. This is just another symptom of Trump derangement syndrome. And when they haven't had enough of attacking our president, they move along and they attack his family. We would have never seen this with the Obama family. They were never treated this way, but the Trump family, day in and day out, it's constant.
You know what's so interesting? Up until this point where she has been out and about and talking about issues she cares about, I've long complained that she hasn't gotten the attention that I think she deserves. She's doing a lot of great things for this White House. She's got an incredible story to tell. And all of a sudden, now that she's had the surgery, we haven't seen her in a while, all of a sudden people are fascinated by it. They're talking about her all the time. The irony here, Tomi.
And they've spent this president's entire presidency trying to convince us that his wife doesn't, in fact, even like him. And if you read the New York Daily News article, they're again insisting that once again, that's the reason that somehow we haven't seen Melania. The woman was ill. The woman just went through a surgery. And they are that insensitive that they're going to attack her marriage, attack the woman. Mm-hmm. It's really repulsive when you think about it. And like I said, can you imagine if they would have done this to the Obama family? The Obama family is untouchable. But every single day, the Trump family is attacked, from the oldest members to the youngest members. And at some point, aren't they sick and tired of their own dirty tricks?
Yeah, well, Tomi, you make a good point. I remember Barron Trump being attacked around the inaugural about, he was hit as well. And you look at these other headlines beyond the New York Daily News, the Telegraph headline, Melania Trump unseen in public for 22 days as she skips Camp David trip. Guardian, missing Melania Trump barely makes news. Things are getting weirder. And CNN, Melania Trump's absence continues, skipping Camp David weekend, which is this weekend. And I think Abby made such a great point, because there's been talk in recent months that Melania Trump hasn't been on the cover of any major magazine the way first ladies have traditionally been. All these women's magazines that normally celebrate the first lady, her causes, herself, they've largely ignored her. All of a sudden now, they're all over her.
And it's only the negative coverage. And it's not just Melania, it's Ivanka as well. It's Kellyanne. It's the women within the Trump family and the Trump administration that have done some historic and monumental things that are either ignored or they're attacked. If we would have seen someone like Ivanka Trump, Melania Trump, Kellyanne Conway, Sarah Sanders, if these women were Democrats, they would be on the cover of every single women's magazine from the beginning of the presidency to present day. And we know this. That's why I look at the left and I look at the leftist mainstream media and I say that there's a double standard that exists. I wish that they would recognize it within themselves, because a lot of these outlets are struggling because they are turning off conservative women. We are still people. We still read their magazines. We still read the news. Conservative women are here to stay, and when they learn how to cater to us, I think they'll do a lot better for themselves.
Or at least just include that side as well, to your point.
Yeah.
Tommy Loren, thank you very much for getting up early with us this morning.
We wish Melania the best, of course.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Tommy.
Thanks, Tommy. All right, coming up, we mentioned this a moment ago. Google, this is just unbelievable. Labeling a GOP state senator a bigot with this picture appearing online when you search her name. Now that state senator is fighting back. She's going to join us live with her side of the story next.
And the Trump economy is surging with unemployment at an 18-year low. But apparently, it's not good enough for Nancy Pelosi. Former Governor Mike Huckabee has a reality check for Nancy coming up next.
And some jokes. He brings jokes.
Does he? He does.
He likes to do.
You're right.
Get enough of you, baby, right or wrong. Baby, right or wrong. When you had to go.
Good Sunday morning to you. We're back with some quick headlines for you. Another tragedy on a Delta Airlines flight as yet another dog was found dead. This is heartbreaking. Alejandro, you can see him right here, was traveling in a crate in the jet's cargo from Phoenix to Newark, New Jersey. The Pomeranian's owners say that he was found at the Detroit Metropolitan Airport during their layover. Delta says it is now investigating that incident. So sad. And Delaware will be the first new state to allow sports gambling outside of Nevada. Delaware Sports Pig Gaming Products goes live in 3 casinos on Tuesday afternoon. It is the first state to launch a full-scale sports betting operation since the Supreme Court struck down a ban on such wagering back in May. Ed, over to you.
Thanks, Abby. Google is now apologizing after search results for North Carolina Republican State Senator Trudy Wade showed her image with the word bigot smeared across it. Google tweeting, quote, "We apologize to Senator Wade that this image appeared in the knowledge panel in search. Images that appear in the knowledge panel are either selected by verified users or automatically sourced from sites across the web." Sounds unbelievable. Joining us now to respond, North Carolina State Senator Trudy Wade. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, but I got to say, you probably can't be doing too well, because this is horrifying to me, the idea that you could wake up and all of a sudden your image has bigot splashed across it.
Well, sir, it's not that surprising to me or my colleagues back in North Carolina. We certainly see this a lot in editorials in the news media, especially the liberal media, on social media. It's not unusual for us being conservatives.
Well, but it seems like it could go further, because when you look at Google's tweet about how the images work when you search them, they say, in this instance, the image was hosted on a student news blog. Upon being alerted to this issue, we immediately removed it from the knowledge panel. So my question is, it seems like, and have they called you, first of all, Google, to offer any more explanation beyond this tweet?
No, sir, they haven't. And actually, it was removed after it went to a national audience. It wasn't removed when it was first reported. Wow.
And so my concern is just seeing this. It seems like not just a politician, but a small business owner in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. All of a sudden, you could wake up one morning, and if a customer didn't like the service or doesn't like the cheeseburger you made for them, they can just call you a racist. They can call you a bigot, and they can manipulate the image so that when people search your name or your restaurant, it sounds to me like you could wake up to a horrifying situation.
Yes, sir. And if the reporter hadn't called me about this, I would have probably not known, or unless a constituent had told me or a client.
And so in this case, they're saying that a student newspaper that I assume was targeting you called you a bigot. Was there an incident that led them to have any factual basis to question whether or not you are a bigot?
Not that I'm aware of, sir. I was on the city council at the time. But of course, as on any outlet like that, you can go on and call anyone anything you would
Right.
like to. It's very hard to get it off.
So there was not a specific issue, a vote or something where unfairly or fairly they were interpreting your vote, your statement, your speech. There wasn't even an underlying issue where they could falsely claim that you were a bigot. There was nothing specific.
Well, it was actually something that resolution that the city council did regarding the marriage amendment with the General Assembly, which I wasn't serving on at that time.
Okay, so they were taking that. So does that tell you as a politician that basically if somebody doesn't like you, as you mentioned a moment ago with the internet, they can go on a blog, they can go in the comment section, they can do all kinds of things and all of a sudden paint you as a racist, paint you as a bigot, even if there's no evidence to that fact?
That's correct. And it's not only on social media, they do it in the liberal newspapers every day if you're a conservative, and especially a conservative woman.
So final question, what's your message to Google this morning? What do you want them to do, not just for you, but any conservative, any liberal out there, frankly, how this could be manipulated and misused? What's your message to Google? What do you want to happen?
They need to have a procedure in order to take those images down when they're not factual. And also, the image is still up on Google Images that we're talking about. They haven't taken that down yet, and I haven't heard from Google at all.
State Senator, we appreciate you coming in and tell us our story. It's really concerning that this could happen to someone like you. We wish you well in the future.
Yes, sir. And if people would like to read more about it, they can go to my website, TrudyWade.com.
All right. Senator Wade, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, this is a Fox News alert. A manhunt intensifying at this hour as police in Phoenix are now linking a string of mystery murders. How one of those murders is actually tied to JonBenet Ramsey. Remember that case in Colorado? And the Trump economy surges, adding 223,000 jobs in May. But apparently, it's not good enough for Nancy Pelosi. She once said the tax cut would be crumbs. Now she says the jobs numbers, it's not good news. Former Governor Mike Huckabee, he's got some thoughts on that next.
This is Armageddon. In terms of the bonus that corporate America received versus the crumbs that they are giving to workers to kind of put the schmooze on is so pathetic. This is like giving you a bowl of doggy do, put a cherry on top and call it a chocolate sundae.
Boy, that last one, I thought Mike Huckabee has a rejoinder for that one, because I forgot about that.
Did you say doggy do?
Doggy do, and you put a little cherry on top.
Like a chocolate
And you
sundae.
call it like a chocolate sundae. And Governor Huckabee?
Governor, have you ever had one of those? Doggy do?
I can't say that I've ever had one of those, but apparently Nancy would know what those are like, so I'll just leave that one to her.
Well, she also had
what
some.
a statement.
Yeah,
What
she
a
also had
statement.
some things to say about the economy. You had some good numbers come out, some very good numbers just a couple days ago on Friday. And she says that the May's jobs report shows that strong employment numbers mean little to the families hit with soaring new costs under the Republicans' watch. What do you make of her response to that?
Look, if Nancy Pelosi was given a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, she'd say it was too heavy to pick up and it was going to be labor intensive and it might give her a hernia reaching over to grab it. I just don't even know how to begin to say anything other than, please, God, let Nancy Pelosi continue to be the voice of the Democratic Party for the midterm elections, because it's the best thing that the Republicans could possibly have. And all we need to do is take her words, put it on television and play it over and over again, because all those families out there in America who are getting bonuses and pay raises, who have jobs that were unemployed, they're going to say, what la-la land does Nancy live in that she doesn't understand that these unemployment numbers, which are historic, are incredibly good for a lot of people, and especially for minorities who have the lowest unemployment numbers ever in history.
Governor, you understand partisan politics. She's a Democrat.
Sure.
Our president's a Republican. She's got to poke a hole in it. But isn't there not some point at which you can just acknowledge, you know what, when people are doing well, that's a good thing?
Well, you got to do that because otherwise you lose your credibility, which is what the Democrats have done. I mean, they say they're for certain things. For example, they want to increase minority employment, but when it happens, then they're unhappy with it. They want to move the embassy to Jerusalem until Donald Trump does it, and then they think he shouldn't have. They want to have peace on the Korean Peninsula until we get close to it, and then they don't like the way in which it's being delivered. I mean, you just take a list of anything that the president has done positively, things that have happened in a strong way, and they'll find a way to somehow, dislike it. It's like the man who lived his whole life and he thought the whole world stunk until one day he realized he had Limburger cheese on his upper lip. And it wasn't the world that stunk, it was him. And that's what I think I'm seeing with the Democrats.
I wonder, Governor, whether, when you look at the president's tweets and some of his public comments, he's obviously frustrated with the Mueller investigation, calls it a witch hunt. And maybe that's why he believes some of this good news you're talking about on the economy, for example, is not always breaking through to the American people. What do you make of this 20-page letter from his attorneys asserting this broad executive power? Certainly, as Alan Dershowitz and others have said, firing James Comey, the president had the power to do that, whether people like that or not. But do you really believe, as they suggest, that the president basically cannot face obstruction of justice charges? That seems like a broad view, a very broad view of the Constitution.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that he can't face it for firing a person that he had the power to fire. I mean, the magic words in employment in federal or state government, for that matter, is at the pleasure of, which means that a unclassified employee can be fired for any cause. You don't even have to reason. You can just say, I didn't like the tie you wore today. You're gone. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. It may not be pleasant, but that's how it is.
Can he shut down the whole investigation? Does he have the power to do that?
He may have the power to do it. It would not be a wise thing to do just because the political blowback of that would be just unbearable. And frankly, I don't think he needs to. This is an investigation that so far has not produced one scintilla of evidence that the president was involved with anything that was untoward. So in a way, the transparency with which he has approached it, and he has been good. But I think his attorneys are dead right when they say they're not going to put the president in a chair facing Bob Mueller. Look, let's go back to the simple thing of the Miranda warning. Jack Webb on the opening of every dragnet would say, you have the right to remain silent. If you give up that right, everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. So anybody with, enough brain power to get a motorcycle halfway around an English P would understand you don't sit down with the person who's out to get you and start volunteering information and singing like an opera star, because no good will come from that.
Especially if you're innocent. Especially if you're innocent.
Yeah. Especially if you're innocent.
Absolutely. Governor, thank you very much.
We'll see where this goes from here. Governor, always good to see you. We love your sense of humor. Makes us laugh.
Thank you very much.
Very
good
early in the
you
morning.
Guys.
All right, good to see you.
I don't know what an English P is.
Yeah.
Is that a curve or is that an actual P?
You also don't know what miso soup is.
I don't.
We've got a lot
from
to learn.
What a doggy do to smelly cheese on your lip to the motorcycle. I don't know.
We're all over the place.
Oy. All right, we've got a lot of news. And on a very serious note, I want to bring you some headlines, starting with a Fox News alert and a potential serial killer case in Arizona. Police think a fourth deadly shooting could be related to 3 others in the Phoenix area. The latest victim, a psychologist and counselor, shot dead at an office building. Police already connected the slayings of 2 paralegals to the killing of yet another victim. Prominent forensic psychiatrist Dr. Stephen Pitt. He worked on the murder investigation of Colorado child beauty queen JonBenet Ramsey. You remember that one? Police releasing this sketch of what they say is a possible suspect. We'll keep a close eye on that. And a desperate search for 2 missing people now underway after a small plane crashed into the ocean. The aircraft went down off the coast of Long Island, New York during a thunderstorm. Rescuers found 2 bodies near the wreck. 1 pilot and 3 passengers were on board that flight. According to the Coast Guard, the FAA now investigating what exactly happened. Also, this outspoken basketball dad, LeVar Ball, telling NFL players stand up for the anthem or get out of the league. Take a listen.
Whoever at the top got to deal with it. But you know what? It's their league. You don't want to do it, get out their league.
Wow. He told TMZ Sports that the league has every right to set its own rules, although he thinks the league went too far. One of Ball's sons, along with 2 UCLA teammates, were arrested for shoplifting in China last year. Remember that story. And Green Bay Packers star Clay Matthews takes a line drive to the face. Take a look at this. Oh, that is tough to watch. That is the Pro Bowl linebacker pitching in a charity softball game. Matthews suffered a broken nose, obviously, and will need surgery, but he says it could have been much worse. Imagine how hard that would hit.
I can't.
I can't even watch that.
It. Wow. I mean, I've been hit by a wiffle ball. That hurts. That's the real thing.
That sounds like a good competition later this summer.
Wiffle ball?
Yeah.
Home run derby on the plaza?
Yeah.
Sounds,
now that I know
sign
you're
me
scared,
up.
I'll pitch to you.
See who can hit who in the face? Yeah, sure. Rick, you could pitch.
That would be awesome.
I like that.
I would like that.
Rick, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Do you know what? I think I found out we have the same couch, Abby.
We have the same couch?
Yeah, you posted a picture on Instagram yesterday of your dad and your baby. And I was like, I think that's my couch.
Isn't Instagram fabulous? You learn things about people's life that you never thought you needed to know.
They were at your apartment.
No, they weren't at my apartment. They wouldn't slum it there. But
it's a good couch, Rick.
It's a very good couch. We'll do a little more investigation. All right, temperatures have cooled down a little bit here across parts of the Northeast, and it's going to remain cool again for a couple of days. We're in this seesaw pattern of hot and humid, and then things cooling down. At least that's across the Northeast, but take a look down here towards the Southeast. Temps in Raleigh, 69, 73, and this entire area here across parts of the Ohio Valley. This is the future radar. Things are going to dry out, at least humidity-wise, quite a bit behind this front that's moving on through. Heavier rain moving in towards the mid-Atlantic, however, throughout the day today. Here's your high temperature. Still hot in Atlanta, 90 degrees, 92 in Dallas. Take a look at that. Phoenix, 108. It's a little bit too early for those kinds of temperatures. Starting work week at 109. The heat continues, but a little bit of a break here across parts of the east by the time we move towards the day tomorrow. All right, guys. Back to you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, good man. All right. Appreciate it. All right. Well, still ahead, we've got Corey Lewandowski, Reince Priebus, Maria Bartiromo, and of course, this guy. He happens to be an ambassador, but he's also Abby's father, John Huntsman, all here live.
That's going to be fun. We're going to have to press him on a number of issues, including about Abby's childhood. Plus, liberal California's jungle primary just days away. The man who knows all about it, Scott Rasmussen, is here with a look at how it could be a train wreck for the Democrats.
Good morning. We are back with some quick headlines for you. Burger chain Whataburger now apologizing to a Texas detective. An employee refused to serve the officer when he was wearing plain clothes because he was carrying a gun. Company policy states that customers, except for police, can openly carry firearms. Whataburger calling the incident a misunderstanding. They say they are proud to serve all law enforcement. Also this, McDonald's could be headed to North Korea. Kim Jong-un reportedly wants to open a Western hamburger franchise in the Hermit Kingdom. This could be considered a sign of goodwill towards the U.S. as President Trump reinstates the high-stakes summit with the North Korean dictator. I knew this was going to happen, Pete.
You know, that's on my bucket list. McDonald's in North Korea. Abby, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, the California primaries are right around the corner. Democrats are becoming concerned that their wide candidate field will hurt their chances in key congressional races. So are they right to worry? Here to break it down, all of it, editor-at-large for Ballotpedia and publisher of ScottRasmussen.com, Scott Rasmussen. Sir, good morning. Thanks for being here. Good morning. So there's these three important races in California that could help determine the future of the House of Representatives.
That's right. These are three districts, Orange County area. They typically vote Republican at a local level, all held by Republicans right now. But Hillary Clinton carried these districts. So in a normal state, in a normal election, you would say these are prime Democratic pickup opportunities. But this is California. It's not normal.
It's not normal at all.
And
so Republicans hold all these seats,
right?
But they've got a different process in California.
That's right. They have a jungle primary. And so in each of these districts, it plays out a little bit differently. But all the candidates from both parties are thrown on the ballot together.
Okay.
The top two go to the finals
So it's
in
not
November.
automatically one party and another party. It's
correct.
It's the top two.
That's right. So, you start to look at a race. In one of the districts, there are 16 candidates running. In another one, you got two strong Republicans and a bunch of lesser-known Democrats. What could happen is if 60% of the votes, say, were cast for a Democrat, but two Republicans split the other 40%,
so then you get two Republicans with 20% of the vote, and all the Democrats get 9, 8, 10, whatever, and then it's two Republicans on the ballot.
That's right. Or the other fluke is you have one Republican endorsed by an incumbent clearly up front. This is happening in California 49. And then you've got four other candidates within 3 points of each other in the latest polling. So it's a total toss-up. The Democrats could, if they win these seats, if they get a Democrat on the ballot in November, they have a shot to pick up these House seats. However, if they get shut out, all of a sudden they're Republican victories no matter what.
So people might be saying, okay, why are we talking about these 3 races in California? Because it all adds up.
It does add up. There's 23 seats the Democrats need to win control of the U.S. House. They need to pick up a net of 23. A bunch of possible pickups were in Pennsylvania. We talked about that a few weeks ago. California, another big haul. There are up to 10 seats that Democrats think, boy, we have a shot here, picking up some ground. And every one of those seats they lose or they give up a chance to win creates problems, makes this 23 number so much harder to get.
Absolutely. So, and part of it, the national mood matters in this because
sure does.
You could get, let's say that scenario, the one scenario you described happens where you've got a strong Republican and then a toss-up for 3 or 4 others. Right. You can afford a bad Democratic candidate if the wins are with you, but if they're not, that's problematic.
Back in December, the Democrats were up by 13 points on the generic.
Remind me, what was December again?
That was right before tax reform was passed. Okay. And so the Republicans hadn't accomplished a whole lot. There was a lot of frustration with the base. And so at that point, the Democrats can give up a lot of seats frivolously. Right now, it is going to be a race-by-race battle. At ScottRasmussen.com, we have a rating at every race. And of the most competitive races right now, the Democrats would have to win 24 out of 31 to win control.
24 out of 31.
Yeah, it's a pretty good winning percentage. Yes. If they give up 2 or 3 of those seats, all of a sudden you're down, then they have to win 24 out of 28 or 29. Sure. And there's a lot of other issues here, but it's a race-by-race fight because we're down to a very close generic congressional ballot. If it's a 4-point margin on Election Day, we're going to be up very late to see who
more or less margin of error. So this jungle primary in California is on Tuesday, 2 days away.
2 days away. It's a stupid system.
You don't like it?
There's no other way to describe it.
We're stuck with the system we have right now.
And I can't predict anything about these 3 districts because it is a stupid system. Yeah. It's a total luck of the draw.
We will be following. Scott, thanks for being here this morning. Really appreciate it. Well, is there such thing as too much patriotism? Well, one business hit with a violation for what their town calls an excessive amount of American flags. Their response will make you even prouder to be an American. And Father's Day, just 2 weeks away. Have you bought Dad something yet? Most heads are shaking just like Kurt's. He's got the gifts, including this robotic lawnmower. Whoa, I'm going to have to see that.
Stop.
Father's Day, of course, is around the corner. What better way to celebrate Dad than by letting him relax, get some tech gadgets?
Here with Father's Day presents to help your dad kick his feet up, Kurt the Cyber Guy.
Because does Dad want to work on Father's Day? No. Start with this one. This is a really great idea because it's new and fresh.
I love Roku, and I already have it. And so I'm wondering, I feel like they're always trying to get me to buy another one. Is it really worth
That's what every company does.
Yeah. It is. This time. So this is a Roku Streaming Stick Plus. So this one right here, super portable, easy to travel. It's 4 times the greater length for the wireless connection at home. And 500,000 plus movies and TV shows stream through this. So easy to set up. And the new voice remote control that comes with it is so smart. It has a TV power on and volume on that as well.
I don't like this if you're a mom because it gives them another excuse to just sit on the couch.
Are you kidding?
Sorry,
This gets them out of your hair.
Can I get the Fox News channel on Roku?
You know, look at it. I would imagine there's a way to get to it. So,
There's a FoxNews.com channel that I've found
streams
on there.
it. Yes.
Yeah, and they have MLB baseball games. Roku's pretty cool.
And I think we're the first to see this. This is a MediaPad M5 from Huawei, and this is an amazing tablet. It's Android inside of it. It has Harman Kardon speakers inside of it. 4 speakers inside of this little thing, just fresh out of the box.
It's made for media, made to watch movies.
It's made for, it's very powerful, beautiful screen. Easy to take anywhere. About 12 hours viewing on it.
But where do you get the movie? So you put your Netflix account?
Oh, whatever. However you want to connect.
Okay.
However you want to connect.
Ed's still trying to figure out how to live in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Do I go
Starting
to
at about
YouTube?
319
Is it the YouTube that I use?
Do I get the VCR out?
Yeah, can I put VHS tapes in there?
Exactly, Ed. And we jump to this. So, I mean, one easy gift for Dad, spending about $20 is download a movie, buy a Blu-ray disc set. Yep. This one, Annihilation, just came out, and it's actually getting really good pickup for the DVD market. And that one, pretty inexpensive way to get into Blu-ray and to...
Pete's excited about this one.
So I used to like mowing the lawn, but then I figured it takes a lot of time.
You have your hands on the auto mower, and we have taken this out into the grass, and you can see how it works. when you put it into your lawn. So
Careful, it has blades in it.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
this
Don't
is
start
from
it
a
up.
company which is, I mean, just genius at what they do. And Husqvarna makes this. It's the leading robotic mower on the planet.
Look at that thing on the grass.
And time out. What it does is really brilliant. You can have this running at night because it's so quiet. It won't wake you up, and it will do its job. Now, this does require professional installation, or you could do it yourself to put a boundary wire around your yard, and then you just let this thing go, and Dad never has to mow the lawn again. It will do it for
Sort
you.
of like the vacuum cleaner.
It's like that. Yeah, it's like that, but
It's kind of like a vacuum cleaner with a big blade on it.
Big, huge
and
blade.
it
No
works
one's
in the
watching.
rain. You could have this out in the rain, any weather, it just goes for it. If it hits a hole, it just rolls over it.
I'm not like
Really
a big
great
safety guy.
performance.
I'm really not. But like, how do you just have this roaming blade in your lawn?
How can you not-
kids and
it's
dogs?
How
built
can you
in,
not be a
so
safety guy?
I don't believe
If it hits a hard object, it stops, or the blades underneath it retract if it hits a hard object that's harder than a blade of grass.
Kurt, the
Very
cyber
smart
guy,
technology.
getting ready for Father's Day. Thanks, buddy.
All right,
It's got a
we'll
big
have it
stop
online
button on
at
the
Cyber.
top too. If you
There you go. Oh, you got to the genius brain
Peter's upset.
controller.
still ahead, comedians on the attack.
One mother to another. Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
And Samantha Bee's not the only one. Mostly all of late night is far left, as you know. So does comedy need a course correction? Two comedians are here.
The ADT yard sign stands watch over your home and family with 140 years of tested, trusted 24/7 protection. Now